Welcome back to the Soul Synergy Network podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Irma Elisheva Diaz. Today's episode is part 3. For those who once dreamed about someone they lost, and then one day, the dreams just stopped. At first, the dreams may have brought comfort. Maybe you saw them. Maybe you spoke. Maybe you woke up feeling close to them again. And then the dream started to fade. And a new question quietly began to appear. Why did they stop? Did the connection fade? Have I moved too far away from them? Am I forgetting them? Are they forgetting me? If you've ever felt that quiet fear, today's conversation is for you. Because when grief dreams stop, it does not mean the bond is gone. Often, it means something important has changed. Something inside you has shifted. In early grief, for example, the nervous system is overwhelmed. Think about it. When it first happens, you're overwhelmed. The loss just simply does not feel real. The heart is searching for the person. The mind is trying to understand what happened. During this time, dreams often serve a purpose, and a good purpose, a powerful purpose. They may recreate the person for us. They may replay memories for us, which really are so warm and so healing. They may allow unfinished conversations. They may provide reassurance, and they may even soften the shock. Dreams become a bridge between what was and what is. They help the heart adjust to a reality it cannot yet accept. But dreams are not meant to stay forever. They're part of a transition. So let's look for just a second about why dreams fade. Over time, the mind and heart begin to reorganize. Remember that when you're grieving, something at a certain point begins to adjust or readjust or reorganize our lives, the way we think, and inside of us, our emotions. Your emotions begin to reorganize. If you can stop and think about that, that's a pretty deep thought. But grief doesn't disappear. It changes form. So what you might be feeling when it first happens, 3 months later, 6 months later, you won't be feeling the same thing. You'll still be sad. You'll still be hurting. You'll still miss them. It's all the same in terms of the weight, but it changes form. Instead of searching outward for the person, the relationship begins to move inward. The voice you once heard in dreams becomes the voice you hear in your thoughts. I love that. The comfort you once felt in sleep becomes a strength you feel during the day. The nervous system no longer needs symbolic encounters because the connection has been integrated. So even though you welcome symbolic encounters and they're blessings for us and they enlighten our life, the connection changes. It's been integrated inside, and your emotions begin to reorganize in a different way. The bond is no longer something you visit. It has become part of who you are every single day. And this is often when we get to that point when the dreams either stop or they begin to fade. We don't have them as often. And many times there is a fear, I've talked to many, behind the silence. So we have to remember that even though this shift is healthy, it can also feel frightening. It can feel, like what's going on? What does this mean to my loved one, right? People often worry, and I've talked to many that say, what if I'm forgetting them? Especially the younger ones. I have I have 4 grandchildren. One of my grandsons says that he has a hard time remembering my mother. And he loved her, she loved him, but he's having a hard time as he gets older remembering her. That happens. What if they're gone for good and I'm never going to have that connection again? That question starts coming because the dreams are fading, right? What if the connection is just dissolving and I don't have that tightness anymore with them? But memory does not live in dreams, and we have to remember that when we're grieving. Connection does not depend on nighttime experiences or naps that you take in the day. Love does not disappear when the images stop, because they do fade. In fact, when the dreams fade, it often means the relationship has moved to a deeper place. It's not dramatic, it's not symbolic. It's steady. It's internal. It's enduring. So we move from visiting or that feeling to caring, as in caring, right? Early grief often feels like waiting for a visit. Later, grief becomes learning how to carry it. How do we carry the grief? That's one of the things that I teach a lot in my grief groups and in grief counseling is we have to learn to navigate our emotions. And we do that by bringing clarity. It doesn't go away. It doesn't make it feel better. It doesn't heal you on the spot. But with the clarity, you're able to navigate and get to the next place where you need to get to be able to get through, knowing that what you're feeling is normal. Completely normal. So you think the way they taught you to think. You speak the way they spoke. You respond to life with their wisdom. You feel their influence in your choices. This is a quieter form of connection. Not something that comes and goes, but it's something that stays. The relationship has moved from presence to an imprint in your life inside of you. And that, my friends, is important. And then we look at the soul's integration, the process, right? There's a deep emotional process happening beneath our awareness. When someone we love dies, our identity changes. We must become a person who lives without their physical presence. But the bond does not end. It transforms. The love reorganizes itself inside your emotional structure. For example, their memory becomes part of your inner world. It's part of everyday life. Their influence becomes part of your emotional stability, the way you deal with life, the way you feel things. Their meaning becomes part of your sense of self. When this integration happens, the mind no longer needs dreams, no longer needs those encounters. They can still get them, but for those that have had them fade, know that. The connection is no longer separate from you. It lives within you. So when the absence feels like a loss again, we got to think about this. Sometimes the dream stopping can feel like a second loss. In fact, when counseling people that are grieving, sometimes when they're at that place, they feel like the loss has begun again. And they feel like they're going backwards because they're starting to process why the dreams have faded, why certain things are no longer happening the way that they used to happen. And you may find yourself wishing, just one more dream, give me one more dream, come on. Just one more moment that I can feel them, that I can get something symbolic. One more moment that a butterfly can come and land next to me. I just want that feeling again. If you feel that longing, it's important to know The desire for dreams is really the desire for closeness. That's what it is. And closeness can still be experienced, not through sleep maybe, but through intentional connection. And one might try speaking to them out loud. That's a big one, by the way, because there's a lot of, for example, when you're looking at doctrines in faith, people will say you can't speak to them. And I tell all of those that come to me with this the same thing. If you happen to believe that you can't speak to them anymore, you can do it another way. You can say, this is I never impose my beliefs, right? So this is important in order to be able to reach you and help you. So when, for example, when my parents passed, I loved them so much. I was so close to them. I would say, Dad, I miss you. Mom, I miss you so much. Or I would say, thank you for helping me with my children when they were growing up, everything you did for me, thank you. And then I would say, Lord, if they can't hear me, would you tell them for me how I miss them? Would you tell them for me what I just told them? I really want them to know. You could do it that way. But it brings something special when you can express. Don't be afraid to express. Write a letter to them. Or sitting in a place that reminds you of them. I say this a lot and I repeat these things in every part of my dream series because I want it to stick. Listening to music that you share together, it can bring so much healing. Continuing something that they loved can bring so much healing not only to you but to your family. Your connection does not depend on your dreams. It lives in memory, it lives in ritual, and it lives in meaning. So let's talk about this quiet phase of grief. There comes a stage in grief that many people don't talk about. It's the quiet phase. It's the intense emotions that have softened. Now it's just different. The dreams have faded. The daily life has resumed. Now you got to go back to work. You got to go back to the routine that you were doing before. The doctor, maybe you have doctor's appointments and all these different things you have to do. But the love does not change and the love is still there. And it no longer feels dramatic like it did before. It feels kind of steady and kind of solid, right? This phase does not mean you're forgetting. It just means that you've learned to integrate your grief, the loss, and how you miss them. The relationship is no longer something that you reach for. It's something that lives with you, within you. So there are things that one can do for reflection, for gentleness, for practice, right? If the dreams have stopped and you miss that sense of closeness, try simple reflections. You can sit quietly or just, when you're sitting there, just take a slow, quiet breath. Take in the surroundings. Ask yourself, where do I see their influence in my life today? Maybe in the way you comfort someone. I'm also a hospice chaplain. So every time that I am at someone's bedside and they're declining, and I can bring a little comfort to them and to their families, I remember my parents. I remember what they taught me. I remember what they instilled in me. And I'm honoring their legacy when I do it. In habits you learned from them. Silly habits that don't even mean anything. I'll give you an example. I get up every morning to make my bed. I cannot leave the house without making my bed. I grew up watching my mother do that. Silly. It's not anything profound, but it's something that makes me remember her. And every morning when I'm making my bed, no matter how my schedule is, no matter how late it's getting, I have to make my bed, and the pillows have to be just right. And I think to myself, this is my mother. This is what I got from my mom, blessed be her, right? So these habits that you learn from them are just, they bring you closer to them. They connect you. They cause you to integrate your grief with love and with connection, right? You maybe values that you live by because of them. I always think about the things my mother taught me, not to talk bad about people. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. Even if it's true, don't say it, right? And all these things that she taught, she also taught me never speak of the departed. Even if you never speak wrongly of the departed, even if it's true, don't do that. You want them to rest in peace. You don't wish that on anybody. So don't speak wrong about someone that has departed. Maybe that's a podcast. So you live by values. In the strength you didn't know you had, all of a sudden you realize. Notice that the connection is still active. It just might be a little quieter. It might take on a different rhythm, a different tone. It's more woven into you. It's important to have deeper understandings of things, especially in grief, but in everything. Grief moves through stages of expression, and they're not always the same. At first, love searches outward. Then all of a sudden, the love settles inward. Dreams belong to the searching phase. Integration belongs to the caring phase. You carry it. You carry it differently. You learn to carry it. When the dreams stop, it just often means the relationship has become part of your emotional foundation. It's not something you visit. It's something you stand on. It's something you have become because of them in your life. Blessed be them. And so in closing, if your grief dreams have faded, please hear me today. The connection has not disappeared. It just simply has deepened. You are not forgetting. You are integrating into your life who they were and your love. You're not losing them again. You're learning how to carry their presence in a quieter, more enduring way. Some bonds visit, some bonds remain. And the deepest connections are the ones that no longer need to appear, because they live within you. I want you to remember these things. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3 of dreams. Subscribe. Pass it on to somebody that it will help. I want to thank you for joining me today. It really is a privilege to do what I do. It enlightens my life, and it honors my parents' legacy. If this episode brought you comfort, remember, there are others out there that need this. I'm Dr. Irma Elisheva Diaz. May you trust the quiet phases of healing. May you recognize the love that now lives within you. And may you remember, when the dreams stop, the connection often becomes stronger, not weaker. See you next time. God bless you.